There's something that most of us carry with us quietly, something we don't always talk about openly, and that's the weight of family problems. Whether it's a disagreement with a grown child, tension with a sibling, or a long silence between you and someone you love, these things stay with us.
That's so true, Luna. Family relationships are some of the most meaningful in our lives, and sometimes they're also the most complicated. It's not always easy to find the right words, especially in English, when emotions are involved.
Today, we want to help you with exactly that. We're going to talk about how to express family difficulties in English, calmly, honestly, and with the kind of language that real adults use in real life.
By the end of today's conversation, you'll feel more comfortable talking about tough family situations without sounding dramatic or cold, just honest and human.
And if you find this kind of conversation helpful, we'd love for you to join our community here on Leo and Luna Talks. Subscribing means you'll always have a calm, quiet place to learn English that fits your life.
Now let's begin. Have you ever struggled to explain a family situation in English? Maybe to a doctor, a friend, or a coworker? That's exactly what we're here for.
Now let's begin. When we talk about family problems, the first challenge is often just naming what's happening. In English, there are ways to talk about these things that feel respectful, not harsh, not dramatic.
That's right. For example, instead of saying, "My family is a disaster," you might say, "We're going through a difficult time right now." That one small change makes a big difference in how you sound and how people respond to you.
Let's think about some common situations. Maybe your adult child hasn't been speaking to you for a while. You could say, "My son and I have been distant lately," or "We've had some trouble communicating recently."
Those phrases feel honest, but they also leave room for hope. They don't close the door. And that's often what we want, not to announce a permanent failure, but to describe where we are right now.
Another common situation is when there's tension between siblings. You might say, "My brother and I don't always see eye to eye," or "My sister and I have had our differences over the years."
We don't see eye to eye. That's a lovely natural expression. It means we have different opinions or ways of thinking, but it says it without anger.
And what about when there's a bigger conflict, something more serious? You might say, "We had a falling out a few years ago," or "There's been some estrangement in our family."
A falling out means a serious disagreement that damaged the relationship, and estrangement means two people have become emotionally distant or stopped being in contact. These are words that carry weight, but they're the right words for these experiences.
Take a moment and think, is there a relationship in your family that feels distant right now? How would you describe it in English? Sometimes family problems didn't start yesterday. They've been building for years, maybe even decades. And in English, the way we talk about the past matters a lot. That's so true. If you want to say something has been a long, ongoing issue, you'd use phrases like, "We've always had a complicated relationship," or "Things have never been easy between us."
The words always and never in those sentences carry a lot of history. They tell the listener, this isn't new. This has been part of our story for a long time.
You might also say, "We grew apart over the years," or "After my father passed, the family just never came back together the same way."
Those are beautiful and painful things to say, and they're real. Many families drift after a loss, or after children grow up and move away. Life changes us, and sometimes it changes the shape of our family too.
Now, in more formal situations, like speaking with a counselor, a lawyer, or even a doctor, you might use language like, "There is a history of conflict in my family," or "My relationship with my mother has been strained for many years."
Strained is a wonderful word here. It means something is under pressure, pulled too tight, not broken, but not comfortable either.
Here are 2 or 3 phrases you might find helpful. First, "It's been a long road." That means it's been a difficult journey, and it still isn't over. Second, "We've had our ups and downs." That means sometimes things were good, and sometimes they were hard. And third, "We're trying to work through it." That means you haven't given up, and you're still making an effort.
That last one is important. We're trying to work through it shows strength and patience, 2 things that so many of us have learned from life.
Now let's talk about how to express the feelings that come with family problems, because it's not just about describing the situation, it's about finding words for what's inside.
And this is where many people get stuck. Especially in English, it can feel hard to be emotional without being too dramatic or too cold.
Let's say you feel hurt by something a family member did. You might say, "I was really hurt by what happened," or "That situation left me feeling very alone."
Notice we're not saying, "I hate them," or "They ruined everything." We're naming the feeling, hurt, alone, and we're staying calm. That kind of language opens a conversation rather than ending it.
If you feel misunderstood, you could say, "Sometimes I feel like my family doesn't really see me," or "I've always found it hard to feel heard in my family."
To feel heard. That's a phrase that comes up a lot in conversations about relationships. It means someone truly listened to you, not just the words, but the meaning behind them.
And if you're in a place of acceptance, maybe you've made peace with something that can't be changed, you might say, I've come to terms with it, or I've accepted that this is the way things are.
I've come to terms with it is one of those phrases that takes a lifetime to earn. It means you've done the hard inner work. You're not pretending it didn't hurt. You're saying that you found a way to carry it and still move forward.
That's the kind of English we want to help you speak. Language that reflects real wisdom, not just vocabulary.
Now, let's take a gentle look at some common mistakes people make when talking about family problems in English. These are easy to fix once you see them.
The first one, saying, my family is very problematic. This sounds very stiff and a little cold. In natural speech, we'd say, my family has been going through some challenges, or things have been difficult in my family.
The second mistake, using the wrong tense. For example, saying, my sister and I had problems when the problems are still happening. If it's ongoing, say, my sister and I have been having some difficulties. Use the present perfect to show it continues.
The third mistake, being too dramatic when you don't mean to be. Saying, we never speak, we are enemies. That can sound very intense, even if your relationship is just cold or distant. Instead, try, we don't have much contact anymore, or we've grown apart.
And the fourth, saying, I have broken family. The correct way is, my family has gone through some hard times, or more naturally, my family has had its struggles. We don't call a family broken. That word carries too much pain and finality.
These small changes make a big difference. They help you sound thoughtful and emotionally aware, which is exactly what you are.
Now, let's take a quiet moment and practice together. I'll offer you 2 sentences, and I'd like you to think about which one sounds more natural and kind.
Here's the first pair. Sentence A, my son hates me and never calls. Sentence B, my son and I have had some distance between us lately, and I'm hoping we can find our way back to each other.
Take a moment and feel the difference. Sentence A is raw pain. Sentence B is the same pain, but held with dignity. Which one would you want someone to hear from you?
Here's the second pair. Sentence A, my family is always fighting. It's a disaster. Sentence B, my family has had some ongoing conflicts, and it's something we're all still trying to navigate.
Both sentences describe a hard situation, but sentence B gives you room. Room to explain, room to be understood, and room for things to get better someday.
That's the power of language. It doesn't just describe our lives. It shapes how we and others feel about them.
Well, we've covered quite a bit today, from naming family problems gently, to talking about the past, to expressing feelings with care. These are not just English lessons, they're tools for real life.
And if there's one thing we hope you take with you today, it's this. You don't have to have all the answers about your family to talk about them with grace. You just need a few honest, thoughtful words.
Is there a family relationship in your life right now that you've been thinking about? Maybe this is a gentle moment to reflect on what you'd want to say, and how you'd want to say it.
If today's conversation felt meaningful to you, we'd be so grateful if you shared it with someone who might need it too. And if you haven't yet, a like or a subscribe helps more people find this calm little corner of English learning.
We'll be back again soon with another real, meaningful conversation, just for you.
Thank you for spending this time with us today.
See you next time.